Time here on the Games of 90, and for this bit of confession, I am not really a big fan of the Krypton Factor. I'm just not. I guess I found Gladiators to be better. Maybe because I grew up with Gladiators. See, I was born in 86, Gladiators debuted in 89, here in the US. In the UK, we know it debuted in 93. But I connect with Gladiators a lot more than I do Krypton Factor. So, in 1990, one production company decided to take a bite out of the sweet plum that was the American Gladiators franchise, and also decided to meld it with the corpse that was starting to become the kids' game show around this time period. These two melded, and it became a horrific amalgamation of something that it just wasn't the Krypton Factor. So, let's talk about the 1990 kids version of the Krypton Factor.
Hollywood, California! It's the Krypton Factor! Yes, it's America's favorite teenage tournament, the Krypton Factor!
The Krypton Factor is a take on the classic UK series, but this time done with kids and a really weird tournament format. Hosted by Bible Man himself, Willie Aames, 2 boys and 2 girls compete against each other in 4 rounds that would test their knowledge, physical ability, concentration, and ability to figure out puzzles in order to win prizes and become the winner of the finals and win $20,000 in cash. Sadly, without Richard Karn's faux enthusiasm to help hype it up. Before we get on with the rest of the show and talking about its good points and its bad points, I'm just gonna skip all pretense and tell you right now, the show is utter ass. There is nothing good about this show whatsoever. With that being said, we're gonna roll the real intro.
One thing was for sure, they both believe Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero H-list. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I have never seen a port from a UK show to the US and get everything so completely wrong. Where do I start? I guess I'll start with Willie Aames, the host.
And now here's the host and star of our show, Willie Aames!
Thank you very much, and welcome to America's most exciting teenage tournament, the Krypton Factor. Each week, we'll put our contestants through challenging mental and physical tests to find America's most exceptional teenager.
The host is Willie Aames. Depending on when you were born, you might know him as being Tommy Bradford in 8 is Enough, Buddy Lembeck and Charles in Charge, Bible Man in those direct-to-video Christian tapes, or himself trying to turn his life around on Celebrity Fit Club. The thing is, he was believable in all of those and did them well. Well, except for season 2 of Celebrity Fit Club. Him as a game show host, he is most certainly not. There's a story about Now You See It host Chuck Henry regretting signing his contract after the first minute, but to be honest, you couldn't tell from watching the show. Willie Aames hosted it like he did regret it and decided to tank his hosting on purpose. I could go on saying how lackadaisical he was, bobbled his lines, just didn't give a shit, but I'm not going to put in more effort than he did on this show. Now, around 15 or so years ago, I actually made a thread on the old Flash Games 2 message boards, and the topic of that thread was game show hosts that are worse than Patrick Wayne. I think it's safe to say that if you watch the show, you will understand why Willie Aames belongs in this list. Right up there with Ian Jamieson and Rick Schwartz. Another thing that irked me about the show is the basic production measures to ensure a smooth show weren't taken care of. Little things that you wouldn't see on a show done with care weren't edited out. For example, this would have been edited to make it sound smoother.
All of these sports are included in the Olympics. True or false?
This really bothered me. Competent producers would edit stuff like that out. For example, there's a video of a 2003 episode of Shop Till You Drop in quad screen format, with behind the scenes look which is really amazing to look at. Between breaks in one part, they had JD redo a couple of questions from the first round. When you saw the show on the air, you honestly wouldn't know the difference. Here, they just said the hell with it and left it in, making Aames look like more of a pud than you'd want from a host. This is one of the biggest problems with the show. The production company felt like they didn't need to try and decided to coast on the reputation of the name. It's also evident in how they had the rounds, which were basic question and answer rounds with a physical round in the middle, pre-taped of course. The first two rounds had the contestants look at a monitor and identify something they'd seen in the picture or from a film clip that they would see and have to remember details from. The first round had the kids look at a monitor and identify what was in the picture. Getting that right earned them 10 points. After the 4 contestants all saw a picture, they were asked 3 buzzing questions worth 5 points if right, but -2 if they were wrong. This will be done one more time before round 2 starts. For round 2, the contestants are shown a clip from a cartoon or a piece of news film. After the film, the contestants are asked 2 questions based on it. Each correct answer is worth 10 points. Then we had the Krypton cart, as they called it, where an item from the film is hidden. The contestants are given 5 clues to the identity of the item. The first person to buzz with the right answer gets 10 additional points. Now what they did here for the kids is something that shouldn't have been done, and that's dumb down the format. In the UK, where they had a couple of children's tournaments, they gave them the same format, just with the questions being a notch or 2 easier. Here, they decided just to make the game mostly general knowledge based and nothing overly complicated. In doing that, they took out anything that would make the contestants seem spectacular. Gone were the mental puzzles, such as remembering a list in reverse order or a long math problem. Gone was anything more mentally strenuous than remembering a video. Gone was anything new unique. What's left was a husk of a format known to them as the Krypton Factor, when it should be called the Krypton Factor. It's one of my biggest bones of contention with this show, and it's that they did nothing special with the Krypton Factor name. They just took the show itself and decided to add generic nonsense to it. Like, there was nothing special to it. There was nothing to make it unique. It felt like it was just there to make money. No care or passion was put into this at all. Back to the format and the pre-taped physical part, which is hardly explained at all. I mean, what the course entails isn't explained by anybody. Not Willie, not the announcer, nobody. Leaving it up to the audience to figure it out. The screwed up thing was that they didn't tell the audience what the course was about in the first episode of the series, which is the footage that I'm using for this video. They could have easily edited down the first 2 rounds a bit to make sure people knew what the hell was going on. This infuriates me as a watcher. As for what the round entailed, it usually started with a death slide, followed up by a bicycle race, and some maze of a ball, among other obstacles. It did vary on the episode, but it wasn't exciting at all. Another thing that ruined the viewing experience was the choice of music.
Alex has nothing but winning on his mind as he goes through our Krypton Pavilion, and here comes the rest of the field.
This didn't convey any type of excitement, just a pleasant jaunt through a park or a beach. Not a heart-pounding obstacle course. The worst thing is how the round was edited together. They bounced around from one contestant to another without any rhyme or reason. It's also not helped by the fact that Willie doesn't really say more than who's in what position in the race. I'm of the mind that they just didn't care about anything, so my statement in the previous on-cam spot was correct. The final round is a generic 2-minute general knowledge quiz where the answer to the previous question is a link to the next question. The first contestant to buzz with the right answer gets 5 points. For each incorrect answer, 2 points gets deducted. The contestant with the most points at the end of the 2 minutes wins the game and some prizes. It's okay, I guess. I don't like the small statements at the beginning since it eats up a lot of time. And Willie Aames is a terrible question reader, as stated previously, so keeping it short and sweet would have been a plus. But instead, they added another gimmick to a round that really didn't need a gimmick. And now we need to talk about the tournament format for the show, since the finals doesn't exist. Well, it does exist, but nobody has footage of it. So I wrote it down right here. So instead of having it like a normal tournament, the qualifiers by score. Huh? Okay. The top 8 boys and top 8 girls will move on to the quarterfinals. Then in the quarterfinals, the top 4 scoring boys and girls move to the semis, where the top 2 boys and girls from the semifinals move on to the final episode, where the winner of that competition wins $20,000. You know what? They could have just had it been a normal tournament of sorts, but instead they went with this god-awful version where it was exactly like season 6 and 7 of American Gladiators, where you can still win your match against your opponent but not move on to the semifinals because your score and eliminator time wasn't high enough. Are you serious, bro? They didn't get anything right on this show. That's pretty much the story of the 1990 Krypton Factor in the US. Nothing was done right. The host, the set, the basic production of the show wasn't done well. The editing is atrocious. I just can't think of one good thing to talk about this show. It's like they wasted everybody's time. You know what? That's exactly what this is. It's a time suck. It wastes everybody's time thinking we're going to watch a good tournament or at least a decent game show to take our mind off the world. But no, it sucks. It's just, bye-bye. And that's a big problem that I have with this show. Basically, all they did was take the name. See, there's a dog outside right now who has watched the Willie Aames version of the Krypton Factor. Even at the very essence of bringing up that show to you, dogs outside are barking in horror because of it.